officially begun. So much to talk about on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 323 of the Purple Rain Podcast. Long list here. The Anthony Averett, Shockey Brown, Kyle Fuller, Tony Jefferson, Kendrick Lewis, Willis McGahee, Trenton Simpson last year, Rocket Ass, I almost said, but I do mean that. And most recently, the Jair Alexander episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Thank you for spending your Thursday evening, your Friday Eve with us. We have football to talk about. No speculation, no rumors, no nothing. Just ball talk on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy above me on Instagram or on X as SuttonDef. Me, Instagram, SimplyAS10.prod, or on X at SimplyAS10. Most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. Go on there, use code PRP for 20% off your whole order and free international shipping. The best deal on the internet. Sutton, I have to ask, I think I know the answer. How are you feeling? Football is back.
Yes, we are so back, man. I mean, I'm ecstatic, to be honest with you. I mean, football being back is a time of year where, I'll put it this way. I was on TikTok the other day. I scrolled past one of those videos, those annual videos that they put out around July, August, where they're playing the broadcast music, right? So the Fox pregame music, the CBS pregame, NFL Network pregame music, and it just gives you chills, right? Just sends chills down your spine. Like, okay, that time of year is back upon us. So with that being said, I'm feeling really good about this episode today. And I first want to give a shout out to everybody watching. Of course, gang, everybody who is subscribed is part of the Rain Gang. If you want to join the Rain Gang, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to our channel, as well as you can expect a lot more Ravens content coming your way. Like I said, I'm thinking about bringing back the Quiet Storm, something that I'll do either early mornings or late nights. I'm not sure which one yet. Maybe I'll put a poll out on our Instagram to see which one would work best for our viewers and game. And of course, there's the YouTube Shorts, and then there's the live shows. These live shows right here is what the Purple Rain Podcast is all about. Is what we've been doing since the inception of this channel. So this is going to be a lot of fun this season. Like K-Dog says, smash that damn like button. It's free. Helps these two gentlemen out a ton. Thank you. Thank you, K-Dog. Also giving a shout to the hashtag replay gang. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And let me see who else is in here in the chat. We got RTV. Ravens Flock, we are in the building. Lisa Ann is in the house. Says, "Hey, Alex and SuttonDef, rest in peace to Hulk Hogan." A lot of stars passed away
Dropping,
this
man.
week.
Like flies.
Yeah, a lot of them. It's crazy. It's crazy. But definitely want to send condolences to the family, everybody who was lost this week. That's never good news. Dre in the house says, "What's up, Purple Rain Gang? What's going on, Dre? Appreciate you for coming through. Listen, if you were in the live chat right now, if you're in the chat, let us know you're in the chat. Whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on Instagram, let us know right now you're watching them. And big shout out to you because we love you guys. All right, so again, Alex, training camp is fully underway. Day 2 just wrapped up a couple of hours ago at Owings Mills, and there's a lot of news. There's a lot of I don't want to say surprising stuff, but very encouraging stuff, right? Like, and we're gonna get into all of that. I see Tanja Bowman in the house as well. Says, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Tanja? Appreciate you for coming through on this Thursday evening." But before we get into the training camp talk, we have to discuss a few things about Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's go ahead and pull up our Purple Rain report.
Yes. So first and foremost, just gonna get this out of the way. They asked John Harbaugh. He when his visit to the White House not too long ago. He said he had an amazing experience. And then this report came out, which kind of caused some discourse online. Don't want to get too much into it, obviously, but basically, he was asked a hard hitting question, and John Harbaugh, in his fantastic ways, I do have to give him this. He knows how to deflect the question like the best of them. It's something I feel like I would love to take from him because seeks a question, he can spin it into something completely else. But kind of just, people are disappointed in him going there. Kind of just, how country kind of divided at points. So this has been a main talking point. So we're gonna just kind of touch on it real quick. I can understand why people are disappointed. Some people aren't, the most supporting, and I get that. There's different sides, and I hate to say it, but it's gonna be either side. If it was the other way around, people are gonna be upset. And I'm saying now, I think the only reason you should be going there to the White House is if you win the Super Bowl. Pretty simple as that. I don't really see why you should be going any other time. That's all I got for this.
Yeah. So obviously this is not the Purple Rain politics channel. This is the
Yeah.
Purple Rain podcast. We don't get too much into the whole politics thing. I do just want to say it does come off as pretty tone deaf, considering the current president that we and all the things that it says controversial, all the people he puts down and belittles. I don't really know why you would align yourself with that publicly and unprovoked, like John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh did. But I mean, I don't know the relationship with the president behind this, who knows, but it does come off as a little bit, sketchy and to a lot of people. And as you guys can see here, Kyle Goon, who a reporter, he basically was kind of sarcastic about, John Harbaugh said that what does it say? Let me see. He had an amazing experience at the White House, quote unquote, amazing, right? In quotes. And basically saying, like, why would you align yourself with somebody who bullies his home state? As we know, President Trump had some nasty things to say about Baltimore, the city itself, a while back. And I guess, I don't know if John Harbaugh forgot about that or doesn't really care. But again, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Tandra Bowman says in here, I hope they don't go when we win the Super Bowl. Love that win in I love that. But to be honest with you, if the Ravens were to win the Super Bowl, you can bet your bottom dollar that John and Jim too, Jim will probably come too. They'd be right back there in the Oval Office taking pictures with the president. I don't know how many players would go, but I guarantee you those guys would definitely go. But yeah, we don't want to get too much into that. It kind of got Ravens Twitter in a tizzy earlier today.
Yeah.
But and Roosh said my mic is a little bit choppy. Change a couple settings here so we can do. I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. I can't really monitor it myself, but see if it fixes itself. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into some other news, right? So John Harbaugh sat down with the Lounge, the Ravens podcast. Ryan Mink and what's the other guy? What's his name?
Garrett Downing.
Garrett Downing, right? Garrett Downing and Ryan Mink interviewed John Harbaugh at length. And there was a viral clip that came out of that when he was asked about the whole, or he talked about the whole Super Bowl or bust narrative surrounding the Baltimore Ravens. So without any further ado, and hear what John Harbaugh had to say.
Garbage about do or die, or about more about like bust, Super Bowl or bust, all that kind of stuff. It's just so phony. I mean, anybody that says something like that has never actually accomplished anything, because they understand it's about process and it's about who you become. You want to win a championship, you got to become a champion. You got to be a champion. You got to do the things that champions do. And then you go in there and fight and you let the chips fly and see if you can win it. And that's what we've been doing. Our guys have been doing that at a championship level. We haven't won the championship yet. Okay? Is that going to be in our future? Who knows? No one knows the future. We're not given to know the future. Read your Bible, But we are given to take care of the day and today and what the moment, and be in the moment, and to take care of one another, have each other's back, share a vision, share an understanding, fight as hard as you can, for that vision, that understanding, for that brotherhood, for one another, and then, let the chips fly. And that's what our guys are going to do.
Doesn't believe in the Super Bowl or bust. If you think like that, you probably never accomplish anything. Well, can go next to the end of the bar. I hate to say it. This is like right there with it. To me, I don't think that's the right thing to say. I think that's actually the mentality of a loser rather than a winner. And who am I to say that? But to me, I think you've built that. You've been building that since 2018. You've missed a playoff once since 2018. You've been runner-up for 7 straight years when you make the playoffs every single year. and you've had the rosters last year and the year before, no greater example. 2019, no greater example. And you fall short in games in which you should be winning, or you have the lead, or you make boneheaded decisions going for it for a 2-point conversion in the third quarter. It's not what champions do. Let alone you shit your pants every single time you play Andy Reid. That's a loser. And once again, I'm not a John Harbaugh hater, like in the coaching standpoint, but to me, this is this isn't what you say. Don't know why you say Super Bowl or bust. You have a great roster. It sounds like you're scared of expectations, is what it sounds like to me. That's really what I got without getting really upset. But with the assets you've put into the money you've put into this team, there's no reason why you shouldn't be getting the Super Bowl.
Yeah, totally agree there. I mean, if there weren't legitimate, valid, high-ass expectations around the team, could understand. John Harbaugh saying what he said earlier in that podcast clip. However, like you said, it give off a loser's mentality. I posted a video about this last night, and I got a lot of flack for basically echoing your sentiments here, Alex. I think this is a very beta mind, a very beta way of looking at things, and that's my biggest issue with it, right? Like, he's saying, like, oh, like, Super Bowl bust, I get that's phony because, like, it's a 1 week at a time game, and I understand that. I get that. But instead of looking at claiming a Super Bowl and, like, manifesting it, right? Instead of looking at that as, like, putting pressure on yourself, your coaching staff, the organization, the team, instead of looking at it as, like, a healthy confidence, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. Here's my thing. When we say Super Bowl or bust, we do not mean Super Bowl or we're going to disband the franchise. That's not what that means, right? It means it's a Super Bowl win or it's a failure of a season, right? We don't play this game, and obviously I'm not a football player, but they don't play that game. I can tell you for damn sure. They don't play the game just to win AFC North titles for 2 years in a row and maybe going on a third this year. They don't play that game just to make it to the AFC Championship game, bounced out by the Chiefs, right? They don't play this game just to win one playoff game, just to say we won one playoff game. That's not what we do. And I think if you asked the leader of this team in terms of the players, Lamar Jackson, he would agree with what we're saying. Like, yes, every year is Super Bowl. That's the reality of it for every single team. Every single team is Super Bowl or bust. Did we win the Super Bowl this year? Yes. Perfect. We accomplished the mission. We met the goal, right? Did we not win the Super Bowl? It was a failure of a season. I mean, it just is what it is. It doesn't mean that you have to disband the franchise again. But I think that talking about Super Bowl or bust and claiming it, like, yeah, like we expect a Super Bowl this year. Like that's our mentality from week one, from July to February. Our entire mentality. We want to get to the Super Bowl. Everything in between that, of course, we're going to take care of. We're going to cross our T's and dot our I's every step of the way. Yes, that's part of being a coach. That's why you have a staff. Put some damn confidence. Put some damn confidence in your organization. These are the reasons why I feel like when John Harbaugh is talking in meetings, guys are just kind of like slouched down and just kind of like seeming a little bit uninterested. It seems like he's kind of lost touch with tenacity, right? Football player. And I don't want to trash Harbaugh too much because, again, I'm saying all this about Harbs, but I still, he's still our coach, and he's been our coach for a long time now. But I got to call a spade, man. I don't see Jim Harbaugh say anything like that, John's brother, right? If you asked Jim and John Harbaugh, and Jim is the younger brother, who's the alpha between the two of them, it's going to be Jim every time. Every time. And John, I feel like he takes a back seat sometimes and just kind of like lets things play out. And that's why he's saying, like, we're just going to do our best and we're going to let the chips fall where they may. Cool. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But you can still claim, like, yes, we want to get to a Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl or bust. If we do not win a Super Bowl this year, it is a failure of a season. Doesn't mean that we're going to disband the franchise. We're going to pick ourselves up if we lose, and we're going to come back next year. And I'm going to say the same exact damn thing. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. It feels very beta to me. Come into the season with that confidence, that healthy confidence. Like, yes, we are not here to take part. We're here to take over. Right. The famous Conor McGregor said that after a fight years and years ago. And it still sticks with me because it makes a lot of sense. And I think that John Harbaugh, he's really tripping with this one because It is Super Bowl or bust. We do have the best roster in the NFL to the East, right? According to ESPN, according to a lot of pundits and a lot of people around the league, and John Harbaugh knows it himself. We have a damn good roster where there are no excuses to not win a Super Bowl. It's just as simple as that to me.
Yeah, and I can't agree more. I just think it's a loser's mentality. You ask, and I've seen there been asking the players, about the team, about the expectations, and I've seen, I think Derrick Henry talk about it, Kyle Van Noy talk about it, Marlon Humphrey talk about it, Roquan Smith talk about it. If all 53 of your players, well, 90 right now, say that's the goal, and you're the coach, and you don't know, you don't align with it, I'm not saying every game counts. I think it's week by week, but to sit there and say that the end goal is not the Super Bowl, that's just stupid. It's plain stupid. I don't know who he thought he was fooling with this one, because I don't think anybody really agreed with it. I just don't think it's the right thing to say. This team is way too good. We have way too many good players, and it starts with a quarterback who said what he wanted to get when he was drafted that night in April of 2018, and to sit there and say Super Bowl or bust. I think you're the one with the weak mentality, because I wake up every day to be my best. I don't, wake up, trying to be second best. And that's kind of what we've been doing the past 7 years. So, different professions, but man, I really, this left a bad taste in my mouth. It did. Because when it comes to the playoff time, you know, I see with soccer players, you can either run away from the game or you can take it by the scruff of the neck. And to be honest, we run
Right.
away. We have players, don't step big moments. They don't want the pass to be thrown to them. Our coach doesn't want to have these tough situations where you have to make a decision that wins you the game or loses you the game. I need that. I've reached here. The early era Harbs is the Harbs we need. Yeah, we need that, and we haven't seen that for a little bit. Last year I thought he coached some really good games. Hell, the Steeler game, we were up 21-0 at half. We won 28-14. You're gonna sit here and tell me that we couldn't put our keep our foot on the freaking gas that game? We could have put up 40 points that game the way we were looking in the first half. I need to see more just aggressiveness and more of a killer's mentality. I think we lack that. The players don't. I
Yeah.
think the coaching does. I think we take a backseat at times, and that's why we lose our games to a
Facts.
Browns, to a guard 2 years in a row. Are you not embarrassed about that? We lost to a backup quarterback 2 years in a row, and that's why some people can't take the Ravens serious, because we have these bozo losses every single year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, totally agree. We are in lockstep agreements in when it comes to this conversation here. John, just be a little bit more cutthroat, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You are a football coach. This is a dangerous game. This is a tenacious game. Like, act like it. Act like it. And it's okay. It's okay. I feel like your players would run through an absolute wall for you if you get up there and say, "Yeah, I've got expectations for this roster, my players, to win a Super Bowl this year. If we don't win a Super Bowl, it's a we thing. I'm not putting the pressure solely on the players. I'm not putting the pressure solely on the coaches. I'm not putting pressure solely on everybody who's in that building at the castle. It's a we thing at the end of the day. But you are a head coach, right? So everything follows you. Everything follows you, the mentality included. So I just, man, I really do not like Harbaugh saying that because again, this is the year. This is the year. I mean, every year that we have Lamar Jackson and we retooling and Eric DeCosta continues to do a fabulous job, it's Super Bowl or bust. I guarantee if you ask Eric DeCosta with
Yep.
all the work he's put in
Yep.
constructing this roster, he Super Bowl or bust. Promise you that.
Like going out there getting Jair Alexander for a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
I think kind of working probably sleepless nights for that, sleepless nights for draft these past 2 years. Scouting guys like Roger Rosengarten, who came in, wasn't day one, but what, game 3 or 4 of his rookie season, comes in and eventually in our biggest game of the year, or the second biggest game, shuts down the highest paid non-quarterback ever to play this game in a playoff game, shuts down TJ Watt. I think that's kind of a disrespectful move to him, because he's putting a lot of freaking work to, build his team to where it's at. Um, the tough decisions we've had to make receiving wise, trading away Hollywood Brown, getting rid of Greg Roman because you didn't want to get rid of him. And then Todd Monken comes in and things just completely 180, drafting Bateman and Zay Flowers and taking a whole ton of just criticism because people, said he missed on Bateman. Last year, shut a lot of people up. Zay Flowers is just what, Marquise Brown 2.0. I mean, first Pro Bowl receiver ever drafted, and showed how much it meant to Zay and EDC when, he got him, trying to get you a Derrick Henry when it's 2023. I just think that's just disrespectful towards EDC.
Yeah. And it also makes sense because again, John Harbaugh is a Super Bowl champion, but as we talked about a couple of episodes ago, that 12 season was not all roses and daffodils, right? And when it comes to like the locker room and the mentality and kind of like the relationships and the attitude of everybody, it was not all pretty. They had to have what they called a come to Jesus moment where they kind of, I don't want to say strayed away from the coach's kind of leadership, but that's kind of what they did. The players rallied around each other and said, okay, this is what it takes. We're the ones out there on that gridiron. We know exactly what it takes to beat any team that we face and win a Super Bowl. And guys like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Anquan Bolden, and the like, they understood that mentality better than John Harbaugh ever will. And it's unfortunate that, you know, Harbs feels that way. But again, this is still July talk, man. I'm not gonna talk too bad about Harbs. Hopefully, he does a damn good job coaching his guys this year and puts us in the best position for us to execute. And I know a lot of people were, of course, blaming the players for not executing in these big games. But I do think that there's a common theme, right? Like the Ravens don't come out looking like the Ravens of the regular season, and I think that has a lot to do with coaching, and it starts from the top down. But let's go ahead and see what we have here in the chat. You guys, Justin Hayes says, I hope he takes the approach that was kind of forced on him during that Super Bowl run. Those guys started dictating instead of waiting on him to take the reins. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Justin. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Justin.
Yeah, and I think about this past year, Henry and Justice Hill were running all over the Bills in that game, and you just stopped them. That to me just doesn't make sense. And you really weren't running when you were missing Zay Flowers, and it was noted, and it was pretty obvious that we were missing him because Lamar struggled at points, but turned into one in the second half. And then I think back to 2012, like we were down in the AFC Championship game when we come back. Um, do I think this team has it in them? I mean, I think they can coaching wise. Do I think we have that aggressiveness and mentality? No, I don't. And that's what I need to see a switch in. I don't want to see Bozo losses this year, even though I have us, one or two of them losing. I need to, make me change my mind. And until then, I'll hold my hands up and say I'm wrong. But just go back. We can go back year by year and just name the losses we've had that we just shouldn't be losing. The Ravens beat themselves. That's kind of getting old. That's not an excuse anymore. It's embarrassing is what it is. Because how many times do you beat yourself in order to really make a difference?
Yeah, no, yeah, totally makes sense, man. Big shout out to Bradley in the chat. This is our guy from the Charm City Sideline podcast. Shout out to them. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. They're doing it big over there. Had a Ryan Ripken, I think, on the show the other day. It was a good episode. I watched a little bit of that one when they posted it. Shout out to them. Still got to get Bradley on the show. That's for sure. Let me see. I see Don is in the chat. Don, see what's going on, Don. One of our members here of the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you for coming through as usual. He's mentioning Tyler Loop. He says, that's my biggest fear, Loop the kicker. Well, I'm glad you brought it up because like you said, it's training camp time. We are back underway with football. We're in full swing now as far as I'm concerned because there's going to be Ravens news from here until, they either win the Super Bowl or get bounced out of the playoffs or their season ends. That's what it is from this point on. So let's go ahead and get into some training camp talk, shall we?
Let's do it. Yes.
All right.
So this is Ravens day 2 highlights on the screen right now. What should we talk about first? Like, there's just so much to talk about. Kickers like the biggest, news story it feels like of this training camp because that's kind of like the big question mark. Pads aren't on, so we can't really talk too much about the trenches. Receivers, corners, tight ends, linebackers. That's kind of where we can talk about quarterbacks. New backup quarterback. I don't even know where you want to start.
Well, honestly, damn, that's a good catch by Likely. One-handed catch by Likely. Just, man, this guy is going to be a monster this season. But because I actually hadn't seen these highlights, you had just spliced together this video and posted it on your SimplyAS10 YouTube channel, and I just kind of ripped it from there and put it here so we can kind of watch it together. But in terms of where I would like to start, so obviously day 1 was yesterday, day 2 wrapped up today. Don C was talking about Tyler Loop. Tyler Loop, he hit on all of his field goals, I think, yesterday, right?
He did. All of them.
They said he was like 4 for 4. Everything was like from 40 and 40 side.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
it's
yeah.
just like extra
Super
points and
scary.
stuff like that. So nothing crazy. 6-6, and then Hoyland went 4 for 5 with one miss being wide left from 40 yards out. So we're talking about yesterday, day one. I have up the Ravens news and reports. Zay Flowers
Okay.
caught a pass over the middle early in practice and exploded into open field for what would have been a long touchdown, aka shades of that one against the Broncos when he caught it over the middle. It lost a couple of
Mhm.
guys there and ran up the sideline for a touchdown. Jalen Armour Davis had a good practice with a pass breakup on a deep pass and another tightly contested play during 7-on-7 work. Keaton Mitchell continues to look extremely fast, just as he did as a rookie. He did drop a long touchdown later in practice after he dusted a defender to get open. Got to have them. I feel like when Mitchell's in the field, him and Justice Hill, you don't know what it's going to be, run or pass compared to Derrick Henry. So he can open up another aspect of this offense. DeAndre Hopkins
Yeah.
made a back shoulder catch. Also made a diving catch over the middle. And then right guard Daniel Falele looks a bit trimmer than last year and showed off his mobility as a puller on a screen. So that's all good news from yesterday.
Yeah, man. Love to hear that. One thing that I heard about Keaton Mitchell, I think Derrick Henry had mentioned it at his presser. He said that Keaton Mitchell, he's got his speed back. You
Mm,
know, obviously Keaton Mitchell coming back last year from rehabbing that, I think it was the ACL
yeah.
that he had tore pretty cleanly in the season prior. But to hear that he's got his speed back, man, like you said, he adds a whole other dynamic, a whole other wrinkle to this offense that, a lot of teams haven't really seen yet, to be honest with you. Other than a couple select few teams, I think the Browns, the Seahawks, they've seen it a
Yeah.
little bit, right? A little in flashes, but for the most part, people are only really worried about Derrick Henry, of course, and then there's Justice Hill, who I heard is looking a little bit bigger, put on some pounds this offseason. We'll see if he keeps those pounds on going into the season. But yeah, man, I mean, promising stuff from day one. I heard that the defense was ahead of the offense, and that typically is how it is on as training camp opens up. It normally takes the offense a little bit of time to catch up to the defense, but that's just because on offense you literally have to be perfect, right? And you like everything has to be executed flawlessly in order to gain yards, and the defense just has to kind of pin their ears back and get after it. But yeah, so let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat really quick. Let me see. Love West says, Alex, that's why I said the Chiefs game will tell me everything I need to know this year. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Harbaugh and Andy Reid, if he gets bullied by Andy Reid again, and we can see he was clearly outcoached, then I think that's a big issue. We got A Doug in the house. What's going on, Doug? That's my boy Doug, man. Says y'all got to take it this year, man. Too many close seasons. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree, man. I agree. I agree. Let me see. Lisa Ann says, who makes the team, Tyler Loop or John Hoyland? I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's gonna have to be Loop because you spent the draft capital on him, right? This is the first kicker that the Ravens have ever drafted in franchise history. So, I think you got to go with Tyler Loop. But he's looking good so far. That's the good news. That's the good news.
Yeah. And
Dre
in
says, I'm only
preseason,
worried about 50 yards and out. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
And this goes hand in hand with that. In preseason, if it's fourth and short and it's a 50-yard field goal, kick it. Don't go for it. Kick it. I don't care. Don't show off what your fourth down plays are. It's game
Yeah.
time. It's guys running full speed trying to kick. They'll run into you if they have to. It's not really regular season pressure, but it's pressure nonetheless. So I do want to see him kick from 50 and out, like 55 and below. I want to see Tyler Loop kick in the preseason, and Hoyland too.
Yeah, man. I mean, for sure, those guys got to get those reps again. Like I talked about with Mike Green, another rookie. Get these guys under the lights, right? Like get them in that purple uniform with fans around and being loud and whatnot, and put them in a high pressure situation, albeit the preseason, but put them in a high pressure situation and see how they respond. It'll be very interesting to see how the kickers respond to these challenges. But I'm pulling for Tyler Loop, of course. Like I said, with that being the draft capital that we spent on him. So yeah, and like Dre, only worried about 50 and out.
Yeah.
But that's for a lot of kickers. Yeah, if Tyler Loop can establish himself in the preseason that he can hit from 50 plus, then I think we're looking good. I mean, like we know about Tyler Loop, he got all the leg in the world, right? He's got the leg. It's just the accuracy, which I think can be taught. And I think that I saw something today about John Harbaugh. He put a GoPro on the helmets of John Hoyland. I don't know if he did it yesterday with Tyler Loop, but he put a GoPro on the helmet of John Hoyland to see what he sees while he's going through his kick progression, right? His process. And I thought that that was pretty cool. Harb's being a special team specialist. But what are your thoughts on that?
Damn it, John, you were gonna make us, compliment you in one way. And yeah, it's probably really cool to see, what they're looking at, where they're looking at when they're kicking the ball, if their plant foot is in the right spot, if they're, they're kicking it with their foot the
Mm,
right way, all that, the small details like that matter when it comes to kicking that damn pigskin. So that's probably a really smart thing. And in film, I'm not sure, what they go over with in film with kickers, but that's going to be one thing they definitely look over. And the special teams coaches, that's what the bread and butter this year. I feel like that's our weakest part of this team: kick return, punt return, and then of course kicking field goals. So can't leave points out there on the board. Um, if he can go 4 for 5 from 50, if he makes every 4 and 5 from 50, I'd be happy. 50 and above, I'd say. For his rookie year, I'm not mad at that whatsoever. 80% from over 50 for a rookie, I'd actually be pretty thrilled with that because it shows me there's room for improvement, but we can hit it from there. The accuracy and power is there as well.
yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Max often in the house says, "What up, PRP? What's going on,
What's up?
Max?" He also says, "Hoping for a boring training camp." Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that in
Yeah.
ways, right? We don't get any crazy news about anybody, hurting themselves or anything like that. Like we have heard in years past. Of course, there was that one scene where I don't even want to talk about it, but
Mm,
devastating stuff happening all at once. It was terrible. But so I do agree with you there, Max. Hoping for a boring training camp, and we get an exciting regular season. But let's go ahead and talk about day two. Let's talk about day two of training camp. Let's see. The Don says here, love the press conference when Alexander said Marlo was weirder than he was. 23 is going to be fun.
yeah.
So Jair took the stand today, and he was asked a bunch of questions, and I did take that away as well. Don, he did say that he thinks of himself here. That is, Jair thinks of himself as a weird guy, but maybe not quite as weird as Marlon Humphrey. And I think that those guys. He also mentioned, excuse me. Actually, Marlon Humphrey also mentioned that they're doing like a Breakfast Club lift,
Yes.
where like they're meeting 6 a.m. It's him, Jair Alexander, Zay Flowers, and Rashad Bateman. So basically, top corners and the two top receivers, right? Meeting up at 6 a.m. to get a lift in. I think the relationship between Jair and Marlon Humphrey is going to grow really, really quickly, and the chemistry, more importantly, is going to grow really, really quickly. Like I can see those guys celebrating and crazy on the field. Like they're going to want to make plays so bad just so they can get in each other's face. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like that energy between those two is going to be absolutely electric this season, and I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, and that's a really good sign of the camaraderie with this team. I saw if you're late, 6:01, you get in the gym, you're out of the club, and it's holding each other
Yep.
accountable. And it's just small stuff like that. I feel like that can separate the good from the greats, from the divisional exit to the Super Bowl champion. And John Harbaugh might not like us saying that, but it's really the truth. It starts in July, and that's kind of what these guys have been saying. And that's what I kind of wanted John Harbaugh to say in that. It starts in July. He could have said, I don't want to talk about Super Bowl because it starts now, and working towards that begins in training camp. But he didn't. So I'm gonna, be a little salty about it. As for Jair Alexander, like you said, saying all the right things. And one thing Marlon Humphrey said, I want to pull it up. I think Jeff Cerebrek tweeted it out. He was kind of talking about how like the Ravens defense hasn't been as dominant. And some people kind of gave him slack for this, but I kind of loved it. He mentioned when he came into the Ravens that this defense was scary. Scary, people feared this defense. Um, Let me try to get it. He said, well, when he first got here, teams feared the defense. He wants to get back to that. I don't think the Bengals fear our defense. I don't think the Steelers fear our defense. And not many people can say that on this team. He's one of them because he won us games single-handedly. And I'm glad he, feels that way because the Bengals, they don't fear us. Jamar Chase named his top 5 corners. Not one Raven was in it. And that's, for a team built off defense, hurts. So I'm glad he wants to get back to
Yeah.
that defense wins championships mentality as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and another thing that Marlon Humphrey mentioned in his presser earlier today, he made note that, we have not been turning the ball over. We have not been turning teams over enough as we should. And that he also mentioned, the winning percentage and like the chances you have of winning are extremely low if you do not win the turnover battle. And that is something that we've seen in the playoffs. I think In all of Lamar Jackson's playoff performances, I think our defense is only forced 1 or 2 turnovers. I can't remember exactly. It is one of the two. It's either 1 or 2. Quite simply, not enough. I think the Eagles in their Super Bowl run this past season forced like oh my goodness, it was something crazy. It was something
They
crazy. I
had
want to say it
like
was like
3 or 4
double
against the
digits.
Commanders in
Yeah,
itself.
it was a lot. Exactly, it was a lot, and obviously they won the Super Bowl. That's huge. They had the two or three big ones in the Super Bowl against Mahomes, and one of them being a pick six. But that's the key. It basically is what I'm saying in short, like turning the other team over and giving your team those opportunities, like taking food out of the mouth of the other team and putting it on the plate of your team. That is what's most important in the sport, especially when it comes to crunch time, aka the playoffs. So good stuff from Marlon Humphrey. Let me see what else you guys are saying in here, because I do want to bring up some of these. Jonas Schaefer, he tweeted some one-on-ones
Mm.
in half-field passing drills and kind of what went down today. But before we get to that, I want to bring up Dre's question. How do y'all feel about David Ojabo? So David Ojabo is one of those big bubble players right now. Obviously, we have brought in a green with high draft capital to really be productive. But Alex, what are your current thoughts on David Ojabo?
Yeah, and I want to talk real quick about the defense. You mentioned they were showing the clip. Um, Chuck Pagano had them doing the drill where like they go into the dummy, hit it, spin, turn it to like one way, and they go and punch the ball out of the hand of one of the other guys holding the ball. Stuff like that. Doing it now.
Yeah.
Getting that just
Yeah.
repetition of punching the ball out, turnover. You know, Mr. Pagano, stuff like that. That's genuinely the difference. The small details like that is the difference between losing the divisional round and getting to the Super Bowl. Because you take that, not to be the if man, if Mark Andrews doesn't get that ball punched out, that's a whole different game. It's just those the fine margins between this freaking team and making it all the way. But now to Ojabo. Sorry, I just want to get that ramble off because I think Pagano's gonna be a guy we're gonna talk about in a couple of months. Like, thank you for bringing him back. But for Ojabo, think about when he came in. Obviously, he was hurt. His first game he plays against the Browns, like a nasty like Saturday night game, gets a sack, gets a forced fumble. I think the next week gets hurt. The next year in 23 games, sack and forced fumble. Like he was producing in limited snaps, and then last year kind of just all went downhill. I know the potential's there. I just don't think he fits this defense where he can rush every single play. We ask a lot from our edge rushers, like how Clowney was able to rush the quarterback most of the time. I think that's what Ojabo needs. Do I think he'll get it? No. Do I think he can make the team? Yes. It's just a long shot for him right now. If I'd have put odds like maybe plus 500, because he has to absolutely ball out
Yeah.
in preseason. Like I'm talking about a sack a game and maybe a forced fumble or two.
Yeah. He's got to dominate in every facet in the preseason. It's going to be a huge preseason for his NFL career, quite frankly. I do feel like he'll work elsewhere if the Ravens do decide to, let him go. But I mean, it's just a crowded edge rusher room, right? Calvin Noy spoke today, about all the guys that they have there, including he also mentioned Calvin Noy. He mentioned, this is kind of shifting gears a little bit, the interior D lineman. He mentioned Travis Jones being as good as Dexter Lawrence, right? And he was on a bum ankle last year. Travis Jones was. He actually graded higher than Namdi Madubuike did according to Pro Football Focus. Don't know how much stock he put into that in 2025, but he played really well, So I think that if they take a step forward, Namdi Madubuike even put on weight himself. You heard about that, Alex? He said he put on like an extra 5 to 10 pounds because he was facing a lot of double teams last year. He was like top 3 in double teams, right, for interior D line. So he said that also frustrated him. Namdi Madubuike said, and I think that that's absolutely huge, to be honest with you, because they're still double him. But I feel like he'll be able to cause a little bit more havoc with a little bit more weight he'll be able to throw around. And of course, you got Travis Jones right there. And then the guys on the outside, Kyle Van Noy, Oweh, Mike Green, you know what I mean? T-Rob when he gets in. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this defense looks, especially on the front side, how they can get after the quarterback. I have a lot of hope and confidence in those guys. And, of course, the guys on the back end as well. This defense should be truly special. I'm talking 2000 Ravens defense where they only gave up like 180 points the entire season, which was absolutely insane. But this defense here has the opportunity to be truly, truly special, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't want to, get ahead of my. I don't think you'll ever see a defense like that again with the way the rules are now bending towards the offense. We've talked about it. NFL
True.
wants an offense compared to back then. Imagine if Siragusa, may he rest in peace, laying the hit on Rich Gannon. Imagine Nami Matabike laying that hit on Patrick Mahomes. With all due respect,
15-yard penalty.
and he's probably getting that injection out the game as well. You hurt him,
Yeah.
you're out the game. So, but with this defense, Ioannis Peebles, we haven't talked about people graded him a lot higher than a 6th or 7th round pick. We haven't talked about him because the pads are annoying. We can't really judge these guys yet.
Yeah.
And I see Dre brings up guys out there like Judon's still available, Clowney's still available, Zadarius Smith is still available. It's guys like that that can come in here, and the Ravens have made an absolute killing, and EDC's made a living on getting those guys in. So who knows? There's a lot of good safeties out there as well. Justin Simmons is there. Quandre Diggs is out there. If we don't feel comfortable with bringing Ardarius throwing them back in the fold, Malachi Starks is why I heard had a good day. It's guys like that, that I don't want to get too, ahead of myself, but it's all good signs right now. And this is truly training camp well and back. The only thing that we're waiting on is the OA hype. That's the only kind of bingo card we haven't checked yet is OA, breaking out of training camp. But come next week, we'll have that.
Yeah. And that's funny that you mentioned that, because I remember last year on this very same podcast, I was kind of clowning him a little bit. Adafe Owe being, the training camp champ, you know what I mean? Like, just in all over the place, and we'll see how it translates season. Guy ended up having 10 sacks, But I think that's funny though. Like, if you had to make like a 3x3 bingo card, right? Of what is gonna happen before the season for the Ravens, Adafe Owe balling out in training camp would absolutely be on there. What else would be on though?
It's a day 2 or day 3 wide receiver, making the headlines, and which we have. Tez Walker has made a couple of headlines.
Bingo.
There's that.
Yeah.
There's going to be overreaction to an interception, which we have not had yet. We haven't had the, maybe our bad practice from Lamar. We haven't had that. Rashad Bateman had a 60-yard touchdown today. I don't think that was on there.
Talk
he
about
didn't
it.
really, and that was in between. Apparently, he burnt Nate Wiggins, and it was over Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
So right now, I hate to say it, our stocks were very low last year. The price was low for Rashad Bateman. We bought low. We bought the dip, and I'm not selling high yet. It's still gonna go higher, I believe. I think there's more to go out there, but I think going on the 3x3. We're gonna have the rookies when they spray them down with the water on the fumble drill. That's another one you got to get on your bingo card.
Yeah,
it's starting to become these likely big plays. That's another one, but he shows up in the season, so that's really not that big of a deal. But I think an undrafted guy as well is going to start breaking out, and I believe it's who did I see? I saw Harbaugh was talking about him today. I think it was a linebacker. He said was making plays all throughout camp.
I don't think I saw that news. Also, another one to put on the bingo card, Lamar Jackson missing a couple of days, right?
That is true.
Unbeknownst to, reasons for, to the public, maybe he got sick, who knows? But I could see Lamar Jackson missing a couple of days and the fans overreact. That will be, that'll definitely be on the bingo card too. But who was the linebacker though?
Ruben Lowry, defensive back, number 30. I'm sorry, undrafted. They said he was making a lot of plays, so that's going to be your guy. That like your Bo Braid last year, who I loved, undrafted guy making plays in camp, might make some plays and might have a roster spot locked up in special teams wise come early September.
Yeah, man. And just touching on Rashad Bateman really quick again too. I think, like you said, we bought the dip, and I think that we're going to be able to sell really, really high. I mean, to me, honestly, a Bateman truther, and I know you feel the same way as well, I don't ever want to sell it. I don't want to sell in Rashad Bateman. I just don't. But, I mean, you guys can see Rashad Bateman's behind me right now on the calendar, right? 7 for the month of July. He's got the jersey right there, man.
It's not happening.
I'm telling you.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. We're not selling on Rashad Bateman. Not over here at the Purple Cast. But, no, like I look at, the thing about Bateman is I think his confidence going into this season is going to be absolutely sky high. I look at some of his touchdowns. He had 10 touchdowns last season. Some of like the 2 against the Giants, that really put his confidence up. The one against the Chargers, the deep ball, that one was amazing. Of course, the one against the Bucks. And then the ones in the playoffs. He scored what? He scored twice in the playoffs. He scored against the Steelers and he scored against the Bills. He scored in both playoff games. Like the guy, and you can tell when he scored against the Bills, he was feeling himself. He was feeling
no celebration.
Right, exactly. And it was unfortunate that on the very next drive, Lamar throws the pick on a pass that was intended for Bateman, and we didn't hear too much about him for the rest of the game. He did end up going down and didn't end up finishing the game, obviously, as we know. But I think going into this season, man, with all the other weapons on the offense, like a Zay Flowers, like a Mark Andrews, who teams still have to respect, Isaiah Likely, DeAndre Hopkins, who is, obviously you kind of got to give him attention too. Rashad Bateman has another opportunity this year to fly under the radar when it comes to defensive this game planning against him. I think that's that's definitely gonna work to his advantage and this offense's advantage, especially Todd Monken. Todd Monken, again, for the third straight season since he's been with the Ravens, he's had his work cut out for him. He's got a bunch of toys, for lack of better words, everywhere around the field that he can just kind of play with and put where he wants to. So, man, can't speak enough about Rashad Bateman. Dre says, I love Zay Flowers, but I still think Bateman is our most talented wide receiver. That is debatable. I think he has the best physical traits, right? But in terms of the most talented, I got to look at what Zay Flowers is able to do at his size. You know what I mean? Zay Flowers is probably what? No taller than maybe like 5'10", something like that, if I had to imagine. Maybe 5'11" on the tall side, right? But I
Five
don't think
nine.
he's 5'11".
5'9".
5'9". Yeah. So like he's right around my height. I'm 5'9" and like 3/4 or something crazy like that. So height, and I can only imagine me being out there and having to have that much talent to make an impact on an NFL game. Zay Flowers looks incredible. He always has. It was still a shame that he was not able to play in the playoffs for us last year, which a lot of people forget. He's going to back this the vengeance. I think he already looks good in training camp. I saw Samuel Njoku, a friend of the show from Ravens Talk Pod. We got to have him back on soon too, and all the other guys. Maybe we should put together a little community stream. We'll talk about that. But Samuel Njoku was saying that is it just him? He was like, is it just me, or does Zay Flowers look even better as a route runner this year?
Yep.
The guy's route running has always been crisp. He's always been super quick. He doesn't look like his leg is bothering him at all. Dre says Zay's shifting ability makes him special. Absolutely, man. Even some of the best corners in the league just simply cannot keep that. He's darting all over the field, losing you on out of his breaks. He's amazing. He's a dog.
Yeah.
There goes that
Yeah,
catch again. Love Isaiah Likely. Go ahead.
and adding on, I think there was a video they put yesterday, back shoulder throws. I saw it was a video of Bateman, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't really see that much. I think red zone wise, I think plays like that can really help us get more touchdowns down there. Granted, we score most of the times we're inside the 5-yard line with Lamar, Henry, but stuff like that is stuff to this offense to make it even that much better. If there's someone I'll tell you who I want to buy some stocks in, I think it might be Charlie Kolar. I don't know what it is. I think likely we'll have more attention, but I think Kolar could have a couple of just like stupid 2-yard touchdowns at the goal line, like play action. Everybody's just he had a couple last year. Everybody's just focused on who you have, and here's number 88, this dude with long hair who just wears barefoot on the field sometimes, just wide open. So really excited to see what's offense can do.
How about this, Alex? Charlie Kolar over under 2.5 touchdowns in the regular season. I'm
taking the over. I'm taking exactly 3.
Over?
I'm taking exactly 3.
Okay, I like that because I mean it makes a lot of sense. Like you said, play action. Everyone's going to be glued to who is it? Mark Andrews, Likely, Zay, Bate, Hop. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they won't all be on the field at the same time, but Charlie Kolar, he can get lost in translation and be open, like wide open. For a touchdown. I can see Lamar just floating one to him, and it'll just be the easy one, And nobody will know who Charlie Kolar is except for Ravens fans, but we'll know. We'll be
kind of like Tylan Wallace too. I think he still has a piece in this offense. I'm not expecting him to have more than 250 yards, but he's going to have some play that's going to bail us out in a tough game, a 3rd and 7. And there's number 16, guy draped over him for 7 and 3rd yards, and it's a first down. Like that's just stuff like that. It's going to happen. So even him, he had a big catch that we didn't talk about because there's no video of it, but it's a picture I know they posted. Like it was nice over the shoulder grab. He has guys like that making plays. When they're called upon, they can make a play, and that's what we need more on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now getting to some of these one-on-ones.
Yes.
So Jonas Schaefer tweeted earlier today, he said some one-on-ones in a half-field passing drill. The first one, Devontae Walker got the better of Jair Alexander on a go ball. But on the very next play, Alexander clamped him. So I mean, iron sharpens iron. Love to see Tez Walker sighting is always rare, but appreciated at the same time. So we'll see what the Ravens have in store for him and how they plan to use him as a weapon. Again, man, Todd Monken has just got so many options on this offense, and I hate to see a guy like Tez Walker his talent go to waste. But again, iron sharpens iron. I love that they got the better of each other on those two plays. That looks good. I mean, next one is TJ Tampa getting the better of Rashad Bateman. He had a nice pass breakup on a vertical route on him. TJ Tampa is a guy who obviously drafted last year, I think in the 5th round, if I'm not mistaken, 4th or 5th round, one of the two.
Fourth or fifth.
Obviously, obviously didn't get playing time last year like that, but here, I think a lot of fans are looking at TJ Tampa as one of those DBs who could get some burn and make an impact. But what do you think?
I do, and it's kind of a battle between him and Jalen Armour Davis. That's it's Marlon, Jair, Nate Wiggins, Awuzie, and then
Mm-hmm.
who do you have after that? That's kind of the question now. So it's kind of that battle between Armour Davis and Tampa. And if I'm backing anybody, I might back Tampa because Davis has shown he's been I word prone, but so was Tampa last year. But if I had to pick one, it's probably be Tampa. He's younger, and I think I like his physical abilities a little bit more.
Yeah, I can agree. Over 50 people watching live. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode 323 of the Purple Rain podcast. If this is your first time watching the show, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, because we will offer Ravens content all year round. I mean, we've been doing this all summer, and the season is right back in full swing now. So make sure you locked into the channel so you don't miss a thing. Also, hit that little notification bell. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that noti bell, because there's going to be some impromptu live streams. Like I said before, I want to start doing the Storm Sports segment again, maybe in the mornings or the evenings. Not exactly sure yet, but make sure you hit that noti bell so you'll be notified anytime that Alex and I go live, anytime that we post a separate video, things like that. But okay, let's get to the next one of these one-on-ones. Mark Andrews got the better of Marlon Humphrey. Separated on a stop and go and high pointed the ball. Okay, so Mark Andrews coming out, and recently in recent weeks, Mark Andrews has kind of come out of his shell, for lack of better words. Posting videos on social media. He talked at the presser yesterday. He's making plays in training camp. You saw Kyle Hamilton on the field just there. Him and Kyle Hamilton had a little thing going on back and forth. Yeah. I thought that was pretty interesting. What did you think about that?
Yeah, and you know what? I'll say now I'll be a Mark believer. I will buy his stock very low. But I think he has a lot of pent-up anger, and this is just speculation, but let's not act like he didn't see, what happened over the summer. He didn't see, what was said after the game. And listen, rightly so, fumble, the drop. He's pissed off, and I feel like he has the chip of his shoulder. It's like a boulder on his. I don't know what shoulder it's on. It might be on both of them. Like, that's how big that rock is on his shoulder. And I think he feels disrespect. And, to an extent, I agree, but the facts are the facts. In playoff time, I've seen the video. You've seen the video. He hasn't clutched up. He hasn't played like the leading, franchise receiver tight end in Baltimore Ravens history. He hasn't, and that's just facts. But he's pissed off, and I want to see a reaction. And for the money he's getting paid, I better see a reaction. So why I think that happened, he's pissed off. I think we'll see a lot more of him angry managers throughout the year.
Yeah, Dre says here, I just hate how the fan base disrespected. I can see that, but I also understand the frustrations of the fan base for him never really showing up in the playoffs where it matters the most. What I think, knock on here, if the Ravens do make the playoffs, right, I think in their very first playoff game, very first red zone trip, you got up a Mark Andrews in the end zone, right? This guy has never scored a touchdown in the playoffs. So I think to get him that confidence and kind of get some of that boulders off of his shoulders, right, you have to literally get this guy involved. You got to get his confidence up, right? I think it's just a confidence issue right now. That's the entire reason why I think he dropped that football. Shannon Sharp said something on his the other day. He was talking about how there was one game in his career when he was playing with John Elway and the Broncos where, he dropped the pass and his mental was just all messed up from then on out, and that can happen. Of course, Shannon Sharp played tight end. Mark Andrews plays the same position. That can happen. You can get thrown just by making a mistake and feeling like you're going to make that same mistake over and over and over and over again. I think that's the reason why I think that's the reason why he hasn't been able to perform quite like he should be able to. But yeah, like I said, you got to get Andrew some touches in the playoffs, in the end zone, right? But
Yeah.
let's see. Moving right along here, let's see. Lamar Jackson's unofficial stats today, according to Jonas Schaefer: 7 for 10 passing and 11 on 11, and 7 for 8 and 7 on 7. Of course, Tyler Loop did not kick today. Like you said, Ruben Lowry added another pick. I'm standing DB from today's practice. And yeah, I think that was about it from today's training camp. Anything else that you saw?
No, that was about it. Jair Alexander had a pass breakup to his seatbelt celebration. Looking forward to seeing that on the sidelines this year. And one thing they asked him, and this answer is what I love. You have week 17 circled against the Packers. He said, I have every week scheduled, circled. That's the answer. That's the difference between Super Bowl or bust, or I'm working every week to get to that Super Bowl. That's the answers we need on this team, and that's what I love.
Yeah, definitely a very, very good energy surrounding the Ravens right now. I can feel Lamar Jackson took the podium yesterday and spoke about a couple of things. One thing that stood out to me, somebody asked him, how are you feeling this year? Going into year number 8, Lamar Jackson basically said in words, like, the only difference between last year and this year is like I'm a year older. I'm 28 years old now. Lamar Jackson, and he said he's just getting started, and it kind of made me think to myself, like, yeah, 8 years in this guy's career, and he's saying he's just getting started. It kind of reminds you just how young Lamar Jackson really is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he hasn't hit 30s yet. Everybody said by now that his career would be probably over or declining because of his play style, but he's adapted and evolved over the years to the point now where even if he doesn't have the same running ability, which I still feel like he does wholeheartedly. Um, he can dice you up from the pocket. So Lamar Jackson is here to stay. I'm glad he kind of doubled down on that yesterday at the presser. But what did you think from what Lamar had to say?
I loved it, and I think I was watching some old highlights of him running. He was low 22. That run he had against the Dolphins, like where he outran Xavier Howard, he was a little
Yeah,
big. I'm not,
very
I'm
big.
not like compared to him now. Like I think I don't know if he hired a dietitian, but I think he's slim, still kept a little bit of muscle rather than just going all muscle or just all slim, and that helps him out a lot. I think he looks more elusive, faster at points earlier in his career. He knows when to go down, when not to take a risk, when to. That's the difference between him and other quarterbacks. I think he has just a weird way of getting down. He dropped down. When Toy Story Andy's coming,
Yeah,
he just drops. Like not many other people can
yeah.
do that, where you just stop all your momentum and just drop. And that's why
That
he
yeah.
took I think 1 or 2 good hits last year. It's mesmerizing.
Yeah, and I think one of those, or maybe two of those good hits came in week 1 against the
Yeah,
Chiefs, where he was kind of frustrated, and he was trying to, will his team victory. You make a really good point. I think that is one of the underrated traits of Lamar Jackson, not taking that big hit. Like, it's actually incredible. I wish somebody would put together a highlight tape of how good Lamar Jackson is at not taking hits. Like, start the highlight tape with like all the pundits and media people talking about early in his career. Oh, he's going to get hurt. He can't take hits, this and that. You know what I mean? Like, he's not big enough, all that sort of stuff. The same stuff that they don't criticize Josh Allen for because he's a big boy, at least
yeah,
perceived to be, right? But yeah, I mean, the just contorts his body. Like, he's so shifty, you cannot hit him clean. You just can't. He's not going to run straight into you, like, face up. He's just not going to do that unless it's on his terms. We've seen him go and lower his shoulder on guys where, they don't have him dead to rights. It's like Lamar's got him stood up, so he's going to lower his shoulder and kind of give him a little physicality there. But if this guy Lamar Jackson knows he's in danger, he's literally got like cat-like reflexes, man. He's going to land in a way where it does not hurt him. So that's amazing. Another underrated skill from Lamar, and I've talked about this before, maybe not on the pod, but maybe in like YouTube short or something like that. Just his pocket presence. I
yes,
know earlier in his career, he had a little bit of issues with like fumble, strip from behind, things like that. But I look at that Steelers game in the playoffs where he throws the touchdown to Justice Hill, where guys are literally flying by his face, right? Flying by his face, up and back in the pocket, and his head is on a complete swivel, but he's still looking downfield at the same time. There are not a lot of quarterbacks who possess that trait. They're either going to step up and try to run for maybe 2, 3, 4 yards, or they're going to take the sack, or they're going to throw from that pocket. But Lamar Jackson, he exhausts every single waking second that he can survive in that pocket to give his guys, his pass catchers, an opportunity to get downfield and make a play. And also putting his blockers in a better position to make an extra block. He did the same thing against the Jaguars a couple years ago on that deep ball to Likely. He did the same thing, of course, in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, where he steps up and his guy's able to get the block again. That was Morgan Moses in that one, if I'm not mistaken. And he goes downfield to Zay. Amazing stuff. Lamar Jackson he's a special talent who has a lot of underrated traits that the mass media, the national media, just does not talk about.
Yeah, it's mesmerizing, like I said. Real quick, some news that just came out, NFL wise. The Raiders have released Christian Wilkins, a guy who they signed last year for 4 years, $110 million. He's going to make $57 million playing in 5 games. And this is all, the remaining $35 million of guaranteed money is getting voided because of how he got hurt and the way he's dealt with it. So that's a big free agent now, defensive tackle. So who knows what happens with that? I know, Ravens fans are probably going to be saying Raven, you like crab cakes. But some news while we're here live on Purple Rain Podcast.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that the Ravens and EDC go out and pursue a Christian Wilkins. We just got done talking about how damn good our interior D linemen are. Nnamdi Madubuike, Travis Jones, of course, we're yet to see what Peebles can offer. Broderick's still there as well. So, and then, of course, that hefty contract, 4 years, 110 for a defensive tackle, and we're already paying guys good money there. Probably going to end up paying Travis Jones. So, good for Christian Wilkins that he's still going to get paid his money and he's going to get an opportunity. But, yeah, oh, wait, let me see. Per Adam Schefter, I don't know if you read this part, the team is voiding his remaining guarantees due to how he handled his foot injury rehab. Wilkins has filed a grievance. Did you read that part too?
I did not read all of that, but yeah, so that's why they released him and not like the way he's going to rehab.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll continue to monitor that situation. That is live news, breaking news from live on the Purple Rain podcast. But yeah, man, so day 1 and day 2 of training the books. Of course, next week is when they put the pads on. Monday, pads come out, and we should see a lot more from, specifically like this pass rush. I want to see Mike Green in the pads, right? I want to see him challenging our tackles and see what he can do if he can get into the backfield and wreak some havoc. Of course, Owe, that's always on the bingo card, like we mentioned before. He's going to get his, and then the other guys as well. But yeah, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode of the Purple Rain podcast, episode 323. Again, we want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out and listening to the show. If you are new here, the dog is saying hello. If you're new here, make sure you hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button as well, because there's a lot more content where this came from. My name is SuttonDef. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Sutton. Follow this guy down here on Twitter at SimplyAS10 and on Instagram at SimplyAS10.prod. And with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out. Actually, wait, one more thing. Instagram at Purple Rain Podcast. Check the story right now. If you want to be in the NFL, if you want to be in the Rain Gang Fantasy League, the Rain Gang Fantasy League is about to be back underway. I think there's about 7 spots left, I want to say. So if you do want to be part of the Rain Gang Fantasy League in 2025, make sure you head over to the Purple Rain Podcast Instagram, because the link to enter in the league is there. So with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through episode 323 of the Purple Rain Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, waiting for you.
Stay positive. Test negative.
There you go.
And even listen, even on the rainiest of days, make sure you call God. Episode 323 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.